Hey everybody, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I am Melanie.
And I'm Carla.
And we are continuing with our top 100. So in case you're kind of just finding it midway, what we're doing is we're doing our top 100 games of our favorite game that we've talked in our first 100 episode as a way to celebrate our 100th episode. And then I don't know if we thought about this, but this is a 10 episode celebration, so it's going super long. But today we are doing games 70 to 61. And yeah, like it's been cool kind of revisiting some of these games and then kind of say, oh yeah, this was from this list. Because most of our um episode have been mostly top nines. That's kind of what we tend to do mostly. So it's kind of neat to revisit some of the themes we've talked about before. Now, before we get into that, and let me actually bring up our presentation here. But yeah, before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the games we've been playing. So, Carla, what have you been playing lately?
So I've been playing Pagan Fate of Roanoke. Now, this one I had kind of purchased on a whim. I just sort of looked a little bit into it and thought, I don't know, that kind of looks really neat. So what it is it's a two-player game where one of you is a witch and one of you is a witch hunter. And
Oh,
you are trying to find out who the witch is. If you're the hunter and if you're the witch, you're trying to perform a ritual, which is like putting all these different clues on all these villagers and then multiple on the actual witch. And then you go and you perform a ritual. But this is all played over with card play. So you each have your own deck of cards, which are like completely different,
mm-hmm.
and you can do different things as a witch or a witch hunter. You have three pawns, which is kind of like worker placement that you place on your turn, and you place them all on your turn, and you would place them either on those villagers in the middle of the board, or there's some spots on your side of the board where you can go to do certain things. And what you might want to do is go somewhere to gain influence, and that is kind of your money for the game. That is how you purchase and play cards. And so you have a little dial that keeps track of that. It's kind of like a little health dial in other games, but that's how you will keep track of that. And you may possibly um, give the other player some money if you go to some spots, because you might get $3 or three influence and they will get one. You can go to another spot to play a card, or sometimes play a card at a discount, or play cards that will cost you more than usual. Now, each time you go to a villager with one of your pawns, you also get to put some clues on different villagers. And once you get three clues on one villager, then you get to add a another token. Now it's escaping me what the name of it is, but those are the important tokens you want on there to be able to accomplish your goal. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are the hunter, you want a bunch of those on your villagers, because then you can go and exonerate a villager, which is basically looking at a card that is an innocent. And so once you know like a bunch of innocents, then you can either guess who the witch is, or you can just keep exonerating and getting down to the deck where you have figured out all the eight innocents, and then the ninth one is obviously the witch. So it's just a battle back and forth, but it feels like such a chess game because my cards are trying to prevent you from accomplishing your goal and helping me accomplish mine, and yours likewise. So you think you've got a plan, and I've got all these clues on villagers, and then the witch plays a enchantment and prevents me from going to certain places or something. So then I got to waste one of my turns, my action pawns, to go somewhere to get rid of the enchantment. The witch has charms that she can do, which are kind of one-time things. You can put now what are those ones called? They're different types of investigation cards you can put on a villager on either side, depending on what it is, and it can hinder or help you or hinder them when they go to that villager. There's allies for the hunter, that they're people that you would play out that will give you a power each round, so they'll kind of boost what you're able to do each round. The witch also has some familiars that she can play, and then she has one familiar pawn. So whenever she plays the pawn, she can do any of those familiar actions, which are kind of like a boosted action as well. It's just so neat because we're starting with just the base deck. I've only played with John so far, but we've played probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 times already. And we've each tried the both roles and tried with a harder deck of cards too. And this is just in the base game. And then this game is going to be coming out with all different kinds of decks so that there'll be different things you're trying to accomplish. But it's just so unique and so fun that, just try to meet your goal with them trying to prevent you. And, you get down to it near the end where each of you are barely able to do anything, but whoever has the lesser evil kind of thing win, because you're down to like 2 actions and I have to just keep doing them over and over to get something done, but then I finally accomplish it before him, or vice versa. But it's just so neat. And then the I have the player mat for it, and it's so nice. It lays everything out, and so you don't have to kind of think about things, because if
Yeah, it looks good.
do an action, it literally describes it, where you go to, what you do and stuff. And yeah, it's just awesome. It's
so the player mat was extra, right? It's not part of the base game.
That's extra.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks worthwhile though.
Yeah, it is. And then the picture you have there, I don't have the upgraded tokens yet, but I do now. So they're all wooden tokens. So
nice.
Like a nicer feel to them. But yeah, it's neat. So I look forward to some of the new decks that'll come out and see what would change, like what you would have to, what goals you'd have to meet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat. And yeah, that's my game I played quite a bit lately. And that's Pagan Fate of Roanoke.
Perfect. So I forget what I've put for what I've played, so I'm gonna have to go and look. Oh, Split the Hoard. Because I wasn't sure. We just had a game day at your house last weekend and played lots of games there, and I wasn't sure if I had picked one of those, but I didn't. I picked Split the Hoard. And actually, I'm gonna be playing and doing a live playthrough of this tomorrow with Dave from the Rat Hole. Now, by the time this airs, that'll already been done, so you could see it there. But what's really cool about this is a Kickstarter game. They sent me the prototype of it. Because this is what the game looks like. Like, you have player boards, or you have shield that you hide stuff behind or whatever. I don't have any of that. I just have the card, everything's in cards. But what's really cool about it is we have defeated a dragon. Right? So we were successful. The battle is over. And there are so many riches around, like treasures for a lifetime. Multiple lifetimes. So we're kind of trying to get our treasure together to get the most glory out of this battle for the riches we've collected. So what's going to be happening is you have 3 cards that's going to come up each round. And in front of you, you have 3 spots that you can place those cards on. The 1 gold, the 2 gold spot, or the 3 gold spot. And basically, you can decide where you're going to put those cards. Now, if you want, because the back of the cards is all a gold coin. And if you want, you can increase the value of a location. So if somebody wants to take one of them from you, they'd have to pay you more gold than the location it's on. So you do have kind of the power of that. And it has like multi-use cards as well, right? Because the back is gold, but then if you spend the gold, like you've got the gold, but then some cards will allow you to look at the other side of the gold and see if you want to take one of those cards as a card to add to your treasure as well. And then we all start with 1 title, and it kind of gives us a class. And based on that, we get a goal of what we're trying to accomplish with our treasure that'll give us extra points. Because some of these treasures we're going to collect will have a number value to it, or a number value modifier. And then some of them will have a victory point value to them. And you're trying to build the most victory point. But if you are successful in doing what is on your title, so when I played, my goal was to have a run of cards that did 9, 10, 11, and 12 in value. Now, and if I managed to get that, that gave me 10, or It was, I think, 15 or 20 victory points. Now, you also have in the middle, and they're kind of blurry there, you can't really see them, but there's also in the middle 5 different goals that everybody can try to accomplish. And whoever is like, and those are all like, have the most of this type of card, or have the most points, or have the most gold, or whatever the goal is. And whoever kind of completes that one, then that gives you 30 victory points. And you're trying to get a combination of cards that'll give you the most victory points. But each round, as I mentioned, you get those 3 cards, you're going to put them, and then you can do like the offer. So basically, the cards that are in front of every player, you can go and purchase one of those cards in front of them. They can't deny you. But you have to pay for the price of where they placed it. So if I had placed one card on the 3 cost, but I'm really hoping to keep it, and I could have added 2 coins to it, so it's actually cost 5 coins to take that card, then if somebody really wanted it, they would take 5, they have to pay me 5 coins, so I would get 5 coins richer, but then they take that card. And some of the stuff that you find, like, you might find a card that's like, hey, I have this tome that's worth 10 victory points, which is great, and I want to keep it for the victory points. But then there's other cards that says, like, if you have this card and this card, you can go and steal a tome that somebody else might have. So then if I get one of those cards that, okay, well, I'm going to put this one super expensive so they don't get it, so they can't use it to steal my 10 victory points that I have here. Like, so the whole... It is interesting, like the whole trading, kind of building your hand, and then the auction phase, and kind of like, okay, well, do I pay the extra to get that card because that would fit in my range, which is my secret goal, but then I'm going down in gold, so then I might not get the most gold, like it was really interesting. So far, I've only played it the one time, but yeah, as I mentioned, I'll be playing it tomorrow night, so I'm excited to play it again. The artwork is super cool. Like the card game as just cards is great. So I'm really excited to see it with the player board and then the shield and all that stuff. So, but yeah, so that's one of the game I've played lately. Split the Hoard.
Cool. Who's the designer of this?
Let me see. I've been emailing him. So let's see if I can get that, if it's on here. Because like I said, this is the rule book for it right now. I got the prototype, so this is a prototype rule book. Man, and I'm drawing a blank here because I just got an email from him today. So let me go see what it said. It was Mark somebody. Mark Kenobi is the designer. I think he's from the UK. Actually, he just like texted him. He's like, because we're gonna schedule probably doing like a video with him about this game as well. He's like, well, I'm just coming back from Essence, so let me take a couple days to regroup. Yeah. I was like, perfect, no problem. But yeah, so I'll be doing a video with Mark as well on this game.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really neat.
It was super fun. I think you would like it just for how combo-tastic it is.
Mm-hmm. Probably, for sure.
But yeah, so that was mine. Split the Hoard. So we're going to get started then with our top 100. And we are now at number 70. And Carla, we're going to start with you. So what's your number 70?
All right. My number 70 is Habitats. Now, this one, I actually just finished playing it on my table because I was looking at my list and I'm like, ooh, I have an hour. I'm going to go play this. So I got 2 plays in, actually, solo plays. But this is a tile laying game, and this game is a reprint of an older game, Habitats. Now, if you know of the game Nova Luna, that game was made in thought of this. Like, it was made after this game. This is obviously a remake of it, but it has the same kind of play in it, but Habitats is more thematic, whereas Nova Luna is a very just straight abstract strategy game. So, but it has the same kind of feel. So you are tile placing, and you are placing tiles in a grid kind of, and each of the tile has scoring conditions on it, and it wants certain other habitats surrounding it or connected to it. So it has like one tile might have like it needs a a grassland, water, and desert around it. So as long as one of those is at least touching, then you're good. And if it needs like 3 water, well, the water can all be connected together. So just kind of like in Nova Luna when you just need those
Nice.
pillars. This one has theme because you're building like a theme, an animal park basically. And there's other tiles involved in this one, so this is the big difference. Plus, how you draft the tiles is neat too, because you have this grid of tiles, and each of you will have a Jeep, and you start in different spots, and you drive the Jeep around to collect them. And whichever way you go, you can never take the tile behind you. Like, you can't ever go in reverse with your Jeep. So you can turn right, you can turn left, you can go straight, but you can never go backwards. So you have to strategically plan, like, I want that tile over there, so I'm going to have to go this way to get it. Sorry, my dog's down there having a fit. There's probably a delivery guy or something. Yeah, so that part of it is neat. But then there's also different types of scoring tiles that will come out. Like there's tents that will score in different ways. There's gates that want things like directly orthogonal to it, but only in 3 directions. There's flower tiles that just give you a point, but then there's other tiles that will give you points for having flowers in your line of sight kind of thing. All the animals are really unique and different, and they all kind of scored differently. But it's just like a real puzzly kind of game. And then there's also 6 goals in each game that as soon as you accomplish, some of them are in game and then some are end game, that if you accomplish, you kind of race to, and then others are, if you have the most of so much, then you'll get these points. And it's only played in about between 15 and 25 rounds, depending on the player count. Turns, but then there's 3 actual rounds, so you do scoring in after round 1 and phase 1 and phase 2. So there's different types of scoring. So again, every game can kind of be unique because you can pick up different scoring tiles, you can have different goal tiles, and then the grid is made up completely different all the time. It's just such a neat game, and if you love Nova Luna, you will definitely like this one too. Now,
this does look like a more interesting version of Nova Luna.
Yeah. Now, there's one more addition you can get to this, is you can get wooden animal meeples, but for this game, they're really not necessary, and they don't fit in the box, so I actually didn't get it, because all they're used for is when you've accomplished a goal, you would put that animal on your tile, whereas mine came with all these little checkmark tokens, right, which are just fine because the animals don't really make sense to have them in this game, especially for the fact that you would need to carry 2 boxes around because they don't fit in the box.
Right.
It's a really nice production otherwise, like even without the animals, but it's awesome. Yeah, that's my number 70 habitats.
That, like, I love the artwork of the box as well. Like, it looks really cool. Huh. And I'm a fan of Nova Luna, so...
Yeah, you are. I know
yes. Cool, I'll have to try that one. Okay, my number 70 is Seven Wonders Architect. So, Seven Wonders is a great game, but I find it's a hard game to grasp when you're teaching somebody new. And I found I know for myself and for some of the people I've kind of played with and they were learning the game, it takes almost most of the game to kind of understand, oh, this is what I'm trying to do. And by that time, you don't recuperate. It's too late. Like, it's too late for you. Then Seven Wonders Duel is kind of a neat version of this game, but it's only 2 players. So it's not one that you can be like, oh, game night, let's play this one. Because most of the time, if you're going to have a game night, you have more than 2 players. Now, Seven Wonders Architect, though, is extremely easy to teach, super fast and straightforward to play. And I have yet to have where we pulled it and got it to the table where we've only played it once. Right away, the second time, it's like, okay, again, put it again. And what's really cool too with this one is, like, first of all, everybody gets a tray that has everything for the civilization they'll be playing. And you have these pieces of cardboard that you put on your board in front of you, and you kind of build whatever wonder you have. And you put them construction side first, and you have to build it from the bottom up. The first person to complete their wonder triggers the end of the game. And then you're going to have a deck of card that comes with you, and you're going to put that with between you and the player to your right or left. And then the other players are all going to do that. So between each player, there's a deck of card that comes in a holder, and they're face up. You can see what they are. And then in the middle, there's a deck of card there, but that one's face down. You don't see what that one is. So on your turn, you draw a card, and you can draw either from your left, from your right, or from the middle. Now, if you manage at one point to play a card that had the cat icon and you get the cat token in front of you, you can actually peek at the middle card before you decide. But like Seven Wonders, you can collect military cards. And if that military card has a horn on it, then you would flip one of the military token. If they're all on the war side, then you go to war, and you kind of battle with the people on either side of you, and then whoever wins gets kind of a victory point, like a military victory point token. At most you would get is 2, because you battle with the people on either side of you. Or you could get a science card, and then when you get 3 different science, or 3 of a kind, and 3 different, I think, you can go and take a science token, and depending on the token, it'll either give you an ability, or it'll give you end of game scores, or something that you can do. You'll have resources, and those are the beige cards, and you can use those resources to build your wonder, and depending on where you're at, sometimes it'll be like, hey, you need to have 3 different resources, or 3 of the same resources, or 4 different ones, and so on, to build each section of your resource. Now, if you get a gold card, that is a resource, but it's wild, so you can use it for as anything. It is so neat. It is so simple, and visually on the table, it's super nice looking. Like, it has great table presence, but it is so much easier to teach and simpler to grasp that it just makes this game so much fun. And that is my number 77 Wonders Architect.
Awesome. Yeah, I played that one once with you, I think.
Nice, yeah. Only once?
I think so. I don't own it, so yeah, I only played
Well,
with you once.
there you go.
Yeah, and I wouldn't probably buy it because I know my game group, they don't even like 7 Wonders. So
Oh my gosh, what is with your game group?
We forced them to play that day. Remember?
Oh, really? It's like, hey, you guys, we're playing this.
Let's try.
Sit down.
Like, okay.
That's so funny.
All right. My number 69 is Dice Throne. Now, this game I had initially played years and years ago, and I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I don't like all this battling and whatnot. And then for some reason last year, I was like, I think I'm going to try this again. I think my family might like it. And I was asking you about which different sets to get. And
Yeah.
getting the starter set and really liked it. So then I got a whole bunch more. I didn't get it all, but I got a bunch more sets to try out because each character kind of does a different thing. But this one is kind of nicknamed Battle Yahtzee, and only in the mechanics of it, really, because there's so much more going on than Yahtzee. But basically, you are battling like a one-on-one. You can actually play like a battle with 3 or 4, or maybe even more possibly. But I find 2 or 3 is the best. And so what you do is you will roll all your dice on your turn. Well, first you will take like a bit of an income, which is like you get some more money basically, and another card, and you'll have a hand of cards, and you can choose to play some of them before you roll if you want to upgrade some of your slots on your board. And so what they will do is, like, some of them will want you to have 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind. Then some will want like a short run or a long run. So you need those kind of scores like in Yahtzee, but they will do different things. So you get to roll 3 times, just like in Yahtzee, and you can roll, you can keep some of the dice and then roll some others to try and get the best that you can get out of your dice and use what you need to do. And then you will go into an attack phase. So depending what you rolled there, you will be able to attack somebody, and it'll say, 9 damage. Now they can defend themselves. So they have their own little type of defense that they might be able to roll 3, 4, maybe even 5 dice. And their symbols are going to give them different things that can help prevent some of the damage, or maybe give damage back to you, or add health to them, or whatnot. And they all do like act differently, but I still find that they're all competitive with each other. I
Oh,
haven't
very
found
balanced.
yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't found one that just overpowers everyone. Like, someone can always win with any of them. It's just there's some luck involved. Obviously, there's dice, but it adds some strategy, because you have to decide, what am I going to do? What should I upgrade? What should I really work towards? What cards should I keep? Because some of the cards will let you, after your 3 rolls, change some of those dice. So there's always this really big power in the middle. If you would get the Yahtzee, all 5 or 6. Now, blanking, is it 6 dice?
Yeah, it's all 6, yeah.
It's six dice.
Well, 5 dice,
5 dice.
but you would
but
have
need
to
the
have the
sixes.
6 symbol, yeah.
So if you got all 6s, you get this big, powerful, like, damage. I think you can damage them depending on your character. 10, 15 damage, and it's what's the word again? Something where they can't actually defend.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word, but
Well, I don't know, like, you
different
can't
types of
challenge
damage.
it, so it's
normal
undefendable
damage
or
unreputable, but that's not the word. Something like that. But anyway, so then they have to just take the damage. And so then you just go around and you take turns until someone is standing. If it's just 2 of you, obviously you just have to beat the other person. But with 3, it's kind of unique, because if you choose to go after the leader, which I always think is the best thing in a game, then you get an extra card. So it makes sense to always be going after the leader, because you get more of an income, right? And then that way you're kind of just chipping away at the top always. So it gets to be really tight at the end. You all have a little bit of life left, and just whoever can get the other 2 down first. But it's really neat. And there's so many different types of characters.
so
I don't even know
many.
which one my favorite would be. I really like the Huntress.
I like the monk.
The monk is cool. He's
Yeah.
really cool. I'm trying to figure out is that the vampire? No, the pirate.
Yeah,
Where
the pirate is cool.
She turns when you flip her board, she turns
Because
cursed.
no other character do that, by the way.
Yeah.
With the characters is you will have some cards that upgrade some ability, but the pirate doesn't.
Yeah.
She gets doubloons, and if she ever runs out of doubloons, she turns over to the cursed side, and her powers then are more powerful.
But
Her
then she
attacks are more
takes a lot
powerful,
more.
but she takes a damage every round and slowly kills herself, so she has to win.
Yeah,
So you don't want to flip too soon.
No.
Yeah. No, that one's definitely is an interesting one.
Yeah, I think I played that character with somebody new, because I thought this is a kind of a trickier one, so I'll play that one. But I think it was still pretty even. Like, they did a really good job of, making everyone being able to win, or not too undershadowed kind of thing. No,
I think they must have play tested this to death, because
bet they
all
did.
the characters, because even from this, because there's 8 characters from season 1. There are 8 characters from season 2. There are 8 characters from the Marvel series, and there's 8 new characters that's about to come out for the X-Men series.
Or X-Men.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
they also then made the adventure one where you can use these characters in a dungeon crawl.
Right.
And for the Marvel one, they've created a missions one to take them into kind of mission ones.
Yeah,
But
that's neat. And they come in a nice, like, if you didn't get the big box, they come in a nice box and a really nice tray. Everything's sorted out, and you open it up and spread out your player board, and everything has a spot for all the stuff you need and the little tokens. It's just such a nice production, and it's a really fun game, and my family really likes it. So
nice.
it's definitely going to stay. I have the Christmas box that I haven't played yet, so I'll be playing that at Christmas.
Santa versus Krampus. That's
Yes.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, that was a neat one too.
Yeah.
There, I saw another one that was being released, like a 2-pack one.
Oh, really?
That was, man, that's gonna bug me now.
Yeah.
Did I dream this, or is it for real?
Let me know, because I've seen the X-Men one, but
Yeah, and it seems to me I saw another one, like kind of like the Christmas special one. There was another special one coming out And I was like, ooh, do I need this? And then I probably will. So, because so far I have all of them. Now, the X-Men one hasn't delivered yet, and I haven't backed it. Because I was like, do I really need more dice thrown? Because I have a lot.
Having a few even is good, because you can just mix them up a bit and try different characters.
Well, because, yeah, like I got the 24 characters plus the 2 from the Christmas special, plus the adventure adds extra characters. Some are that you would battle against, but you can actually use them as their own character, like the big boss monsters.
I thought it was just
so yeah, so I have a lot of dice from, but I mean the production is amazing. Roxley did amazing with that. Manu Tamblé's artwork is stunning. It is so nice looking, and then all the custom dice for each character and how the ability just tweaks a little bit for each character is so well done. This game is so. When I played this one, I stopped the game halfway through. I called my game store and I said, "Put that aside. I'm coming for it," and I bought it halfway through my game. Like I was like, oh my god, I need this one. So good.
I know, and I had the original, the Moon Elf and the Beast, I think it's called. And so then I would always bring those out to play with like John and my son. I'm like, okay, well, you guys, you know how to play these. You guys do that one. I'll try a different one. And my son's like, no, give me one of those. I want to try a new one. I'm like, all right. So
nice. Yeah.
Different ones that we can try. But
yeah, it's nice. And then if you are playing with like younger audience or really new players that you just don't use the cards and just play with the dice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I thought of that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Great pick, Carla. I love it. All right. So that was your number 69. My number 69 is Oh My Goods. You went from like a huge game if you get like the battle chess to my game, which is like a tiny little card game. So tiny. I'm pretty sure this game, we talked about it when we did our multi-use card games. I guarantee that one was on my list for that. Because you do use these cards for all sorts of stuff. So the back of it is the goods. So you would stack the back of the cards, and then that's how many goods you have for that particular building that you've generating goods with. Then they also get the market, because you're going to be having markets that's going to give you access to resources to be able to activate or purchase different cards that you have. And you put the market until you get across a sun symbol, and that's your morning market. And you see what that one is. This was also on my push your luck list because it does have a strong push your luck element to it. And then you then decide if you want to do your action like at the top of your ability, but you're going to need all the resources, or if you want to slack off a little bit so that if the resources you need don't all come up, it doesn't matter. You can still complete it with less resources. And then you would then reveal the evening market until the rising or setting sun comes up, and then you stop there, and those are the resources you have available. So you never know 100% what all is going to be available to you. But then you also have the cards in your hands that you can spend for resources. But then if you spend it for resources, you can't use it as a building. And it's neat. It has and then once you start kind of generating some resources, like, okay, great, I'm making this with this one. Well, now you can use those goods to send to another building that will take those goods and transform them into a different product, and then that product is worth even more points then. So the whole push your luck, the whole multi-use card game, the whole kind of combo that you're building, this game is so good for how small that it is. Love it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it too. All right. My number.
Okay, so that was number 69. We're now on to number 68. And Carla, what's your 68?
Is Planet Unknown. Now, this one is a simultaneous playing game where you can play with, I believe, up to 6 people. And it wouldn't add much time to the game if you were even playing with 2 or 3 as opposed to 6, because you all take your turns at the same time. You have this
Yes.
big tray with like kind of a little lazy Susan thing underneath, and it'll spin around. And where it lands on your side, you have a section, and that would be where you would take from. And they're all these polyomino tiles. And so what you're doing is you are making your planet grow with different types of terrain on it. And you all have these big player boards with these grids with like your planet on it, and it you can all have the same one, or you can flip over and they all have unique planets and they need
Mm-hmm.
different things on them and whatnot. And so what you're trying to do is, of course, fill your board, but you are also trying to place the tiles strategically so that you can move up all these tracks on the side. And if you
Yeah.
can like get them all to the top, that would be ideal, but of course it never happens. So there's different things you can do. You can either move up a water track, you can move up a tech track, which will, once you get to certain points, you'll have ongoing bonuses throughout the game. There's a green like tree track. That's hard to say. That will give you, when you get to certain points, it'll give you just single squares to fill in, because that sometimes you leave those blanks and you need to fill in, because you'll score at the end for all your completed rows or columns as well. So it's really tough to get those completed because you are trying to kind of fill it out. You start on one side and then kind of go from there. You always have to connect to something that's there, but it's hard to get them all filled out, and they all have different scoring on each column and each row. So I think the further ones out are the higher points, because it's hard to get from one side to the other. There's a rover track, which is neat. You'll put on this little rover and it'll move around on your board, and it'll eat up these meteors and stuff that you have placed on your board at the beginning of the game. And they will be positive points. If they're left on your mat, they would end up as negatives. You have some like goal cards, and it's neat because you have one in between each of your opponents on your left and right that you two are only trying to accomplish. So the
Mm,
person to my left, we have a certain goal, and then the person to my right, we have a certain one. So you're trying to accomplish those. Some of the event cards, because there's an event card every round, will come out, and some of them are really positive. They'll give you things that you bump up tracks, and some will like do negative things to you. So it's just really interesting because you're all playing, you like on your, if it is your turn, you get to choose where it's gonna like spin to, and then everyone gets to choose from there. So there might be certain things you want and you don't want that player
mm-hmm.
across from you or whatever. But mostly there's not a lot of negative play in this, because you really go for the tiles that you need to fill your
Yeah.
objections or complete your board as much as you can. And it's a really fast game. I'm sure, I don't know if we've ever played over an hour in this game, and we've played with the full player count before too. But it's just awesome, and it's so unique with that big tray in the middle that spins around, and you get to take your actions from there. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I'm just waiting for the expansion to come out. I'm not even, it's a moon expansion, I think, so I don't know if it adds another little board or whatnot that we're gonna fill out, but it's just so cool. And that's my number 68, Planet Unknown.
I'm sorry if I seem distracted. I am under attack by a fly all day, and this fly is aggressive, and it hits me, like it comes right to my face, and oh, it's been horrible all day. So I have like my big zapper fly swatter trying to get it, and it's just flying in my face again right now. So I tried, but I missed. Sheesh. Before I go to bed, I swear I'm getting this fly. Sorry, sidetrack. But yeah, so this game, I played it the first time when it kind of first got released at FallCon. And we played with the side where we all have different
Unique abilities and
planets and
too.
ability.
Yeah.
And I lost by a lot. Well, my planet, first of all, wasn't a planet, it was a black hole. So instead of building in the planet, I'm trying to build around this black hole. So navigating your rovers is a lot trickier because you can't just go across. You have to make your way around. But my tracks, like when I upgraded my water track kind of moved across all the other tech tracks. So I could evolve faster,
Oh, nice.
but not fast enough. Now, I also bought this one at FallCon just this last summer here, like this,
Oh, really?
just over the summer. Now, the version I bought was secondhand, but it was still in shrink, but it's the first publishing of it, which you have the big middle thing, you have all your components in it, and there is nothing to hold them in.
Oh, really?
There's no cover, or it's like, oh, well, this is going to be a problem. And I was commenting about it. Sorry?
The cover is coming out in the expansion.
Maybe. But like they did a second publishing in the second edition, and that one does kind of come with a cover. But what somebody recommended that I was like, cause discussing in the game group, it's a buy a shower cap. And you just put the shower cap over top of it. So I went to the dollar store and I bought a shower cap.
I just store the game horizontal and not vertical.
Oh my god, I am not, like, if you could see, I don't store my games that way, and then it's really a pain in the butt to have the odd horizontal one, but so yeah, right now it's on its side. I haven't added my shower cap yet. It's probably a mess, but I got the shower cap, so I have the fix. But great pick. Yeah, I did enjoy this game quite a bit, so I bought my own copy, but I haven't played it yet because I just bought it a couple months ago. All right, my number 68 is a game that the first time I played this was with you, Carla. I'm pretty sure. Michael was over. We had a game day at my house when I lived in Didsbury, and we played this game, boy versus girls, and we did not win. And that is Word Slam. Was that with you?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Okay. And this is such an interesting game. I was so impressed with it that I went out and bought Word Slam and Word Slam Family, which is basically exactly the same as Word Slam. So I got rid now of Word Slam Family and kept Word Slam. But basically, you have the red players against the orange players. And then you'll have the clue giver on either side. And those two clue givers are going to look at a list of cards, like a list of words, and they're going to pick one to give to be the clue that we got to get the team to guess. So in this example here, we have breakfast, Hollywood, GPS unit, Dora the Explorer, babysitter, or banana. But you can pick different difficulty level. Like you can pick how difficult you want to go. And be like, okay, so you kind of like, I'm thinking this word. Yeah, okay, perfect. Let's get started. Then you have all of these cards that have different words on it. And you're going to put words and these cards on this thing that you put up and to try to get them to guess what the word is. Now, the boys won super quick. They put vehicle shoot. And they're like, tanks. They're like that. And I don't think we had a single card up yet. But like just the things you try to put into there and how you get people to think. It is so fun. First of all, it is so fun, so neat. You can play however many players. Like this is definitely a party game, but it is a great party game. I love it. And that is my number 68, Word Slam.
Yeah, that's good. I like it too. All right. My number 67 is Tapestry. Now this one was I pre-ordered it. That's right, because he didn't kickstart games at this time. So I pre-ordered this one. I was so excited for this to come. It is a beautiful production, this game. It has painted miniature buildings in it, and they're all so gorgeous and unique. And then the player pieces are these like baked clay kind of feel. I forget what they're called. They're a type of material, but they're like, I think they're used from, or they're made from reused, like recyclable materials or something, but they're really neat. You have this big player board that you put all these tokens on, then you have another board that has a big grid on it, and that is what you're kind of trying to fill up to get little bonuses and whatnot. But what you're mainly trying to do is move up these 4 tracks. Mm-hmm. So that the big game board in front of you has 4 tracks, and there's science, technology, military, and I can't think of what the fourth one is offhand, but
Is it
so
like
you're trying
religion or something like that?
not religion, but it's
Civilization or
something
culture or something?
culture maybe. Well, no,
Yeah.
that was with the expansion was culture and arts.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't remember the other track, but it's just such a neat, unique way of playing a civilization game because you're basically building up your civilization by building your village and then using these tapestry cards to give you ongoing bonuses throughout the game as well. But how you play them and when you play them is kind of a timing thing as well. And each time you move up a track, you're going to get something. You have to pay to move up the track, but then you're going to get something back, whether it be technology cards, being able to take a building off and put them on your player board, using your tapestry cards, because you also all have these unique what are they, like a faction card that you get at the beginning of
Hmm.
the game, and it comes with so many of them. He's kind of tweaked them over the years where he's kind of evened out some of the things that maybe some were overpowered, but then you will start with less or whatnot. But they all do such cool and unique things, and there's different ways to go about it. Like you could totally go hard on military, you could not even touch military and still like win. There's just so many different ways to victory in this one, and it's
Yeah.
just such a fun game to play because you're just kind of in your old world building your own thing. You're still interacting with others because a lot of the cards are interactive, but you're still mostly building your own kind of civilization and just trying to do the best you can and get as many combos as you can. It's just such a neat, unique game that I just love it. And we play it from time to time, and then we're always like, oh, yeah, that's such a good one. We really do like it. And that's my number 67, Tapestry.
I wonder what list this one made it on, because I don't think we did our top 9 civilization games yet.
No.
Did we
It
do
would have
top
been,
9 Stonemaier games?
I think so. But
That
I
could
think
have
it
been
was
on
on
that one.
another one too. I'll kind of look while you're talking.
Sure.
Which one
Yeah, no, I do like this one. I bought this one secondhand here a few years ago, and it is a cool one. I know people complain that, well, this isn't a civilization game.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it is in
Absolutely.
theme, definitely, and in what you're trying to accomplish, but it's not a traditional civilization game.
No.
So fair enough
Very
on
much.
that, but.
Yeah. It's not a traditional one, that's for sure.
All right, my number 67 is also a Stonemaier game, and that is Viticulture.
Oh, nice.
So I played this one for the first time at, I think it was Fall Cant. With COVID, when it was happening, FallCon couldn't host their convention one year, but you could have smaller gathering of 10 people. So I ended up doing a Fall Cant with a small group of people, and this was the first time I got to play this game. And we played it, I think, max player count, but it was so neat. I was so impressed with it. Because what's really cool is it's a worker placement game, but you need to manage how many workers you're going to be spending in the first half with the Essential Edition. It's summer and fall that you would have them in. So you got to manage like how many you're going to activate these summer actions and leave some workers behind for you to use in the fall action. So you're going to be planting and getting your grapes kind of like in the first one, but then you're going to be making the wine in the second half and then selling that wine. But it's kind of interesting because of every aspect of it. You got to plant the plant. You got to cultivate it and kind of collect the grapes. Then you got to process the grape to make the wine. Then you got to age the wine to get it to be what you want it to be. Depending on like the quality of it, depending on the orders you're trying to fulfill. And then when you have the wine required, you can start fulfilling some orders, and that's going to give you some victory points. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Plus, my friend Lyle makes homemade wine, and he made a bottle of wine, and he created a viticulture label for it. And he dropped it off at Christmas one year. So I'm like, I am never drinking this wine ever. Like, I'm keeping it as my viticulture wine bottle. Like, and I still have it to this day. I should actually put it behind me on this shelf there. I love it. It is so cool. But yeah, that is my number 67, and that was Viticulture.
Sweet. That is an awesome game. All
Mm.
right, my number 66 is Final Girl. Now, this one I had kind of looked at throughout the years and kind of went back and forth. Oh, I don't know, solo game. And this was before I was ever into solo. I kind of looked at it and then thought, no, I don't think I would play a solo game. And then I really got into solo gaming. Years later, it took just till last. When did I get that? Last fall, maybe my first one? Or maybe it was even in the winter. No, I think it was during Car Treat, the winter one. And wow, do I love this game. This is such a cool game. You are the final girl, like in the horror movies, and you you choose a featurette to play, and all the featurettes are like spoofs of the 80s 90s horror movies, so kind of like Friday the
Nice.
13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and all that. And you are basically just trying to escape or save a certain amount of people before, or basically survive the killer. And so how you go about doing that is you roll these dice and you take actions with cards that you have, and you start with a hand of cards or a deck of cards, and then you will kind of build it up as you go. And what it'll do is you can move around the board, you can go and search and get some cool little items and weapons and things, and then you're going to try to attack this killer because you need to reduce his health to zero in order to win, or but he will be reducing yours as you go along. So it's neat because you have all these other little victims on the board that you were trying to save to get bonuses, but he's killing them right along you doing that. So you're trying to save as many people as possible before he kills them all, so that you can build up some strength and money and things that you can be able to buy really strong cards. And they all are so unique and they play differently, which is so cool because they all come in like almost look like a DVD. And so I
Mm.
have mine all set up in my TV room under my DVD player. So they don't even look like games. Like I actually this is funny, but I have a big bonus room where we have our big TV and lots of shelves that we kind of have like, decorative knickknacks. Well, I have placed, I think I counted over 40 different games on that shelf, but you wouldn't know are games. So they just look like I have one that is a big chest. Like actually you just talked about the viticulture. I have the big wine chest. So I have
Oh,
that sitting
nice.
on there. It just
Yeah.
looks like a really nice box. I have these games there that just look like DVDs. I have games that look like books. So
Right.
it's like
Nice.
it's kind of like a game for me now to see how many games I could get out there that nobody would know, specifically John, that they're actual games, that I'm literally putting up games all over our bonus room. But they just kind of look like books or DVDs or just nice boxes or whatnot. But anyway, back on track. The Final Girl is an awesome solo game, and it's one you could actually play with another player and just make decisions together. Because,
Right.
like in another game, when it's a dice rolling game, you're not always rolling them yourself. So it's neat. I haven't played this with John yet, I don't think. Maybe I did when I first got it, but I definitely would want to try it with him to show him, because we used to love those like horror movies when we were young adults, and just how cheesy they are and whatnot. And it's just such a cool way to play a game. Like for them to think this up was just such a cool idea. But I do love this game. And I have that on my shelf this month to play. I have a couple that I haven't played yet out of the ones I got. I didn't get it all, but I got the stuff that I really wanted. And so I
Mm.
have a few more that I still need to try out. But yeah, that's my number 66, Final Girl.
Nice. Yeah, that one is like, oh, solo play. No, never mind. I haven't crossed over to the dark side like you have
So
yet.
good.
It
It's
makes
not the dark
sense
side,
to,
it's the light side.
well,
Because when you can't, you always talk about it being social. Well, I love the social part of it, but when I can't get
and
people
it
together,
is hard to
I
get
still want to play.
players, gather players. So
Yeah,
if I solo played, I would play
yeah,
a lot more.
yeah,
But
exactly.
solo. So we'll see. Maybe I'll meet you in the solo realm one
Well, you
day.
are slowly because you're playing a lot of games to learn them.
True, I do play
Yeah,
solo, but you know what? To be honest, most of the time when I do that, I play and got to a point where I was like, okay, good, I got a good gist of it. I don't
yeah,
finish them.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my number 66, and I have to check. Okay, so this is another Roxley game. And I was so impressed with this one when I played it the first time. So this is Super Motherload.
Oh, that sounds
And
good.
Super Motherload is a deck building game, but instead of having like the communal cards that you'll be building, you upgrade your cards from your own kind of deck. You have certain designated card that, and you can kind of replace cards to make them more powerful. And what you're doing is you are mining down in this, I don't know where we are. But depending on where you mine which cover, like, because depending on the card, be like, okay, we're mining this many spaces. So you're going to take a black tile that is like a hole and cover where you're mining. Now, depending on the material you mine through, if it's rocks, you're going to need to have utilize a card that allows you to dig through rocks, right? And so on. And then everything that you cover are resources that you get to collect and you can spend them to acquire new cards. And what's super cool with it too is once you reach the bottom of the of where you've mined, then eventually you remove one board and you shift everything over and you add a new board because you've reached new depth and you're just digging deeper and deeper. And I thought that whole mechanism where and you will see that in what's that? Oh my god, I played it not too long ago. It's like Vendetta. The
Road Vendetta or something?
Yeah,
Thunderbird
Road
Road
Heist
Vendetta.
Vendetta or something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll see that there too, where like the board shifts as you go further down the road. And this one shifts as you dig deeper and deeper. And I thought that was so cool. And it is so interesting as you're covering things up and then you're trying to dig in direction to go and cover up the material that you want to collect and get the gems and the gold and but like maybe I'll avoid the rock because that's hard to dig through and so on. It's so fun. I really enjoy this one. I played it. My God, it was probably 2017 when I first played it, maybe 2018, and then I bought my copy almost right away, and I still own it. Well, I own most of my games. I don't sell them very much, but this one is staying for sure. And that is my number 66, Super Motherload.
Yeah, I feel like this one's a hidden gem from the past too. I like it. I
Mm,
own this and I will never get rid of it either.
nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, my number 65 is one of your all-time favorite games. And this is this is
Oh my god,
Dice for
I just
Odin.
speaked. Yeah.
This is not one of your favorite games,
Yeah,
but I feel like you had a really bad play of it. But I don't know if I'll
that's
ever get you to
funny.
play it again. This is a big, big, chunky game. This is from Uwe Rosenberg. It's his masterpiece of all his polyominoes from the time he made this one. He's made some since, but when he made this one, he had kind of been building up all the years and he had produced other little games out of it beforehand, and then he finally brought this one out. Now this is like a Viking themed game where you are doing Viking things. You're going out and plundering and you are taking things from other people, but you don't do that in the game. You don't take from like other opponents. You're with your worker placement spots is how you're plundering to get things. And most of the things are little polyomino tiles that you will be placing on your board. And what you're trying to do is cover up your board as much as possible, but also trying to not cover certain things that can become income and just surrounding those things. So it's very strategic how you're going to place these polyominoes because sometimes you will cover up things because you just can't get around it and you need to fill up your board because the more you've filled up, the more income you get. You can get other boards to like you can go traveling and get these distant land boards. You can get different sheds and things that you also need to fill up. And I remember the first time I played this, and you probably had that feeling too. You're thinking, how am I ever going to fill other boards when I can't fill my own board? But
Yeah.
as you play and you start getting more boards and filling those up, they give you more things. So then you have more to fill. And it's one of these games that you need to, like, in order to figure out how to successfully play it, you have to do it a few times because it just seems so difficult the first time or first few times you play. But you have like I almost think there's 100 worker placement spots with the expansion that you can go to, which sounds like, oh my God. But they're all kind of in rows. And so you might have a row of 4. Well, all of them are rows of 4, but and they just kind of vamp up as you go. But then you need to use more workers to go to those really juicy spots. There's a bit of card play in this one too, where you have like a not a like a career kind of card that you can play and do things, and there's all different types of cards. It's a very minor part of the game, I find, the card play, but just the actions and choosing what you're going to do. Am I going to go for some animals and then get them to breed and they'll give me things and bigger tiles? You have to feed your Vikings, and how you do that is so unique because you have to line up these food tiles on this board under the feast table, and every round it gets bigger, and so you have to take like bigger types of food or longer types of food, and you have to have unique food next to each other, so you can't have the same type of food or even in the whole line. And so sometimes you'll have filled it up and then you just have to use coins to like fill up those extra spots. But there's so much going on in this game.
There is so much going on in here.
There is. And I think I am going to have to pull this one out and relearn it solo. And the nice thing about the Uwe Rosenberg games is when you play solo, you literally just play the game the way you do with multiplayers. And it's just like a score. So you don't have to learn any kind of
different variation.
Anything.
Yeah.
And it's a really good way to like relearn a game that you need to refresh the rules. But this one, you need a lot of table space. I've never played it with more than 2 people. I don't know that I have room to play it with.
Right.
Because it's such a table hog, but it's just awesome and I love it. And that's A Feast for Odin.
Yeah. Great pick. Okay, I've only played this game once. And I mean, it's a worker placement game. Oh, and I've never even showed the picture. Here it is. So it's a worker placement game, but there is like over 50 space where you can send your worker. Plus, it's not just building your board and covering all those negative points. You also collect resources that you can upgrade to its other side. And there's this whole other board that we never even looked at or made our way to it. And the whole time I was playing it, it was just like, I'd rather be playing something else right now. It's like, and then it was a consensus at our table because we're like on the last round and they're like, should we just end it now? I was like, I am okay with that. Plus, the auction was starting, so maybe that, contributed too, but I don't know. This was, most of the games I could be like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I don't dislike my play of it.
I feel like
this one was just like, I am not having fun with this right now. So, yeah, that was A Feast for Odin, your number 65. Spoiler alert, it is not on my list. I don't think I made my list of games I talked about during our podcast that made my list. It made your list a few times, but and I totally get mine is a very unpopular opinion. People do not feel this way about this game. I do, but I think I might be the only one. All right.
I was actually surprised it was this low on the list. I thought it would be higher up. Closer to number 1. But
so I see your huge game, and I will match you with the tiniest little game. My number 65 is 5 cucumbers. First of all, story. This was a game that was given to me at the Fall Con. They were getting rid of a bunch of games, and they're like, do you want this one? I'm like, okay, sure. And actually, I was collecting games because we were doing game night regularly at the Didsbury Museum. And I wanted to get games that they could keep at the museum. And I was originally intending to leave that one there. But I got a bunch of train games because they have a big train display and stuff. So me and Lyle were there. And we were starting this game to play because we were at the museum game night that I was helping host. And then we opened it up. And there's these little wooden cucumber bits. And Lyle looked at me, and then I'm looking at him, and then the museum person was nearby, and he's like, take this one back. And I was like, I will. So we're whispering to each other. Just for the bits alone. Those cucumber bits are amazing. But this is a very simple trick-taking game. There's only one suit. It's cucumber. And you'll play 7 rounds. Everybody plays a card. And whoever has the highest card starts the next round. And if you cannot play a card that is equal or higher to the one that was just played, you must play your lowest card. Now, if you manage to hold on to a low card, because you're trying to hold on to a low card, because the final and 7th round is you'll play your card. The winner of that round will have, like, whichever is the highest card. Each card has a certain number of cucumbers on it. Then the one who wins that round has to take that many cucumbers that matches their own card. Now, if somebody was able to hold on to a low card and it's the number 1, that is a cucumber multiplier, and it doubles the amount of cucumber you have to collect. If you ever reach 5 cucumbers, you eliminate it from the game. But it's that simple. Then you start up again. Everybody has 7 cards, and you play your cards trying to keep a low one to have for the final round and collect the least amount of cucumbers that you get. It is extremely simple, but oh my god, oh so satisfying. This is probably the game we bring when we play at the restaurant after we order our food. We played this one at restaurants so many times. My boys are so annoying because I pull the cucumber bits and they grab the salt shakers like, I'm going to salt the cucumbers. Then they salt the cucumber bits. But it is so fun. So fun. And then at Card Treat last time, Carl I played this game with Carl, but he was playing it with just a deck of cards. He actually had not heard of the 5 cucumber version of this game, but yeah. Amazing game, and that is my number 65. 5 cucumbers.
Yeah, this is a neat one. I like it too. Good choice. All right, my number 64 is Wizards of the Grimoire. Now, this is a 2-player only game again, and it is a battle game, but it's a different type of battle game because you are wizards that are casting wizard or witches, casting spells and trying to reduce the other person to 0 health, but it's only with cards. Now, how you do that is you will draft a spell. There's about 10 spells that are out on the table, and you will draft one of those. And is that my picture?
I don't think that it is.
I was just saying,
but it looked like it would be.
That would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Really this looks like, I was like, you know what? I bet you she played this one outside. That's what made me pick this picture. Yeah, but I just went on BGG and then I picked a picture that.
Oh, nice.
Because
yeah. No, me and John play this lots. We probably have played it on the deck for sure. But so yeah, anyway, you have about 10 spells to choose from, and there's different types of spells. There's attack spells. There's green and purple spells. Now, I forget the actual name of the green and purple ones, but one of them will be where it'll just help you get more mana, and mana is the currency in the game that lets you buy cards. The other one can be how to remove spells or mana from your spells. And why you would need to do that is when you play a spell, so you draw a spell and then you pick up, I think, 3 mana, and then you can play as a spell or put mana on other spells that you've already played. So you will put a spell down and it'll show on the top how much mana it costs, and then you will place that mana on top face down, and so that you can see there is like 2 or 3 or 4 on there. And then you activate that spell. Now, when it comes back around to you, you always will cool off your spell. So you'll take 1 mana off each spell. And what you're trying to do is get them all off so that you can invigorate them, that you can play on them again. And they can, especially the attack ones, you want to be able to attack as much as possible, because once you're done all your spells, then you can do a basic attack of just a mana card from your hand. And the mana cards go from 1 to 4, where there's lots of 1s and 2s, and there's a few 3s and 4s. So you're just kind of going back and forth trying to reduce each other 1 to 0, but it's so unique because all the cards play differently, and some of them like kind of combo off others, and some might be like I'll have a spell that says, for all the mana cards in your opponent's hand. So if they're like collecting like 10 mana, I get to attack them that much. So you kind of have to see what the other person is playing and then use cards wisely for that and being able to just reduce them. And every game seems so different because all the spells come out differently and you choose different ones and you can only have a certain amount. I can't remember. I think is it 6 or 8 spells at a time, but you can get rid of spells and then get new ones as well. So it's just a really cool game and perfect for this time of year. And that's my number
Right?
64, Wizards of the Grimoire.
Because we've put this list together quite a while ago, but this week it really fits the Halloween theme for you.
Totally.
All right, my number 64 is another small card game. I have a lot of small card games on my list because those are probably my most played game. And this is one that me and you have played a lot, and I quite enjoy it, and that is Ohanami.
Oh, yes.
So, Ohanami is a drafting card game. And you start with 10 cards, and you're going to pick 2, and you're going to add them to your garden. Now, your garden is going to be in 3 rows, and you can either add your cards together or separately, either to the bottom or to the top of the row. You can't tuck inside between cards. Now, you're trying as much as possible to avoid gaps because you have to also put your cards in a numerical order. So if I put 87 and I have an 85, I can't tuck it below it unless there was nothing below 87, right? Like it has to have that gap open. So you got some really kind of decisions to make there. Now, every time, and I do this every time, I look at the cards and I pick by the number what is tight together that I can add to my garden so I don't create too big of gaps. And then I'll add those to my gardens, and then you pass the cards over, you get new cards, and then with what's left, you got to pick 2 more to add. Now, you score 3 times in this game. The first time you score just the blue cards, then you score just the green cards, and then you score everything in the final round. So it makes sense to get blue cards up front because you will score them 3 times. I always forget about that because I'm so caught up in trying to keep my gaps tight that I don't even look at the colors. And then kind of like, oh yeah, we're scoring blue cards. Okay, I got 2. So, and then every time I play with you or with Lee, it's like, well, yeah, no, I'm concentrating on blue. And I was like, how do you even think about that? I'm so caught up in the numbers and the gaps. So, but it is so satisfying. I really enjoy this game. It's a neat puzzly game. Now, playing it 2 players is kind of interesting because you will be like, okay, he's probably not going to take this card because there's a big gap that would create. So I'm going to leave that one there and try to pick it up next time. So you can do more of those choices. In a 4-player game, forget about it. You're not going to remember what's in there. You're just going to play with what you're seeing. You're not going to strategize that way, right? So kind of has a different feel a little bit. But both, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, I love every player count of this one. And that is my number 64, Ohanami.
Yeah, this is my Zen game, I call it. I feel so Zen playing it.
It's so pretty, right? Like the artwork is like neat watercolor art. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah. And speaking of Zen, my number 63 is Tranquility. Now, this one is...
that sounds very Zen.
a cooperative card game that you can play solo, but I played with 2. I've played it a lot solo, but I've also played with 2 players, and it's really good both ways. This one is... you have a big grid, open grid in front of you, and you are trying to place cards numbered 1 to 80, and they have to be in sequential order, like starting at the bottom left, going up to the top right. And how you do that is you can just plug a card anywhere you want. But if you were to ever put a card next to another one, you have to pay a card to do that. And you have to pay the difference of what the number is. So if I'm putting a number 2 next to a 3, I only have to pay 1 card. But if I'm putting a 2 to the left of a 4, then I have to pay 2 cards. So you have to
Okay.
strategically place all the cards before you start placing them beside other cards, because then you're going to be paying too much if you do that all along. So it's really neat because you have, depending on the player count, a hand of cards, and you'll play one, and then the next player will play one. But then there's this one card in the bottom left. Well, it won't be there yet. You'll have it in your hand, and it's called a start card. And so as soon as it pops up in the game, you have to play it in the bottom left, and then everyone all together has to get rid of 8 cards.
Oh
So
my.
not each, but like all of you. So
Oh, okay.
you have to, whatever you have in your hand, you have to get rid of. Like if it's 2 players, you kind of each get rid of 4 cards. And so you kind of have to remember what those cards were, because they're out of the game, so you won't be able to use them to fill in. So you don't want to get rid of, cards that are, like a 10, 11, 12. You'd kind of maybe get rid of one of those and then try to get different cards from 1 to 80 out of the game that you possibly won't use. But it's so zen-like too, because all you're doing is just trying to fill up this grid. But it's not as easy as it sounds, because once you fill in, you start placing cards and you fill in all the spaces, then you have to start playing the cards that fit next to them. And sometimes you're playing a card that is 3 or 4 apart from that number, because you've already tossed one of the cards you needed, or it's just not in the deck yet. You will always draw back up, but it's always been a really close game. We either win or we're just very close to winning. It's still so satisfying, and I play this a lot on BGA as well, and I do love this game. And that's my number 63, Tranquility.
It does look zen and kind of neat, actually. But oh
And
my
there's
god,
lots of different variants of the game too, where you can add things in each row that prevent you from being able to play in that row. I've only played.
I would have a hard time
versions.
remembering the cards I got rid of.
Yeah.
Was this part of the memory game list?
Well, I didn't actually put this in, but I'm thinking of it now. Yeah, it'd probably be a good one, because those cards, like, you don't have to exactly remember them, but kind of roughly what you got rid of,
Because you're leaving a gap for that card and it never shows. Oh yeah, got rid of it. That'd be me.
Like,
That'd be me all the time.
Be some of those. And if you got rid of one, you also don't know what your partner.
I suppose,
so
eh?
you don't have a clue what those ones were. Yeah. So
That's cool. And the box is so neat looking. I love the look of it. Yeah, number 63, Tranquility. Okay, my number 63 is not zen. It's a little cutthroat. And that is Bunny Kingdom. So the first time I played this game, I was 100 points behind everybody else. In my defense, it was my first time playing it, and I misunderstood a really important clue. Because what happens is, this game reminds me a lot of like Foundations of Rome or Foundations of Metropolis or Chinatown, because you're getting cards that gives you access to a certain square in this grid, and now you have the right to that one, so you can build on there. And you're creating your fief, I guess it's called, like your grouping of bunnies. And you're going to be adding buildings, and these buildings have towers with like an egg on it, or it's a carrot. But anyway, so what's going to happen in your grouping, you're going to multiply those number of towers by the total of vegetables that you can produce in your grouping. Now, here's what I got wrong. It's multiplied by the number of different vegetables. So I'm like, wow, I have like 5 carrots and 3 towers. That's 50 points. I'm doing great. It's not. That's only 3 points. Like, so I was like, oh.
Brain around it.
Right, like there was like, oh, so it's not every, so I'm passing up all, because this also has a drafting element to it. So every time I would find a card that allows you to add a different resource on the board, I'm passing those on. I have a lot of carrots. I'm not concerned. I was like, oh my god. So the second time I played this very differently. But I mean, the game is so cool looking. You have your little bunny minis that you play on it, and you have your little 3D towers and buildings that you add, and you're creating your clusters, and you're trying to build and make it as big. But then you have like different goals as well, where you maybe want to try to have multiple clusters instead of like a really big one. So so neat and satisfying. I really, really like this one.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So
I like it too.
I bought, yeah, because what happened actually, I bought this game at the FallCon flea market last year, and it was still in shrink. So I was excited secondhand. And just for those, this weekend is the FallCon flea market. Again, unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. Are you going, Carla?
Yeah, it's not this weekend, it's next weekend.
That's right. It is next weekend.
But
So
I mean,
yeah,
when
so
this
next
comes out,
weekend.
it'll be that
Well, I mean,
weekend.
like when this here, yeah, when it goes live, it'll be next weekend. I'm gonna be at the Mountain View Comic Con. So, but the flea market ends at 12, and Comic Con goes till 4. So on your way back through, you should come and see us there.
I don't know if I'm
But
going for sure.
oh, I see. Okay, I need somebody to go and send me pictures. But yeah,
I think
so.
Brian's going.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. All right, so this is my number 63, Bunny Kingdom.
Awesome. All right, my number 62 is Cascadia. Now, this one is a very popular game. Everyone's probably heard of this one, but I still really love this one. I didn't back this originally, but then as the campaign went on and actually ended, and then before it was fulfilling, I late backed it, and I
Okay,
decided
good.
I do need to have this game, and I was so glad I did. It's quite a simple game. It's or simple rules, I should say, not a simple game to play, but you are drafting these terrain tiles and with it an animal tile, and what you're trying to do is place these terrain tiles so that you can get the biggest groups of the same terrain as possible together. But in the same turn, you are also trying to place animals in certain patterns depending on the goal cards for each animal, and they're always different every game because it comes with a bunch and you can mix and match them, so they'll all be different. Now there's always the same 5 animals. There's the bear, the elk, the salmon, the hawk, and the fox, and they all score differently, but they all will score kind of off each other, so it's quite a puzzle that you're trying to accomplish. But there's ways to kind of mitigate drafting the tiles as well, because normally you have to draft a pair, but if you have these acorns from different other tiles that you've placed, then you can use one of them to grab like a completely different animal tile and a different terrain tile that is not paired together. And you just play this, and I think you always end up with, I don't know if it's 20 or 25 turns each, depending on player count, and then you just each will score your whole forest, village, not village, but like what would you call a big
Like your
ecosystem,
habitat or your,
yeah,
I guess.
your big ecosystem of animals and terrain. But it's
Yeah.
just such a simple rule, easy play, hard to master game, but so fun, and you can play with all different levels too. And that's
Yeah.
my number 62, Cascadia.
I do feel like this one is like an evergreen that is worth for everybody to have in their collection. It's interesting enough for the avid player to want to play, but it's simple enough to get somebody brand new that's never played a board game to play this as well. Like it just fits well.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice pick. So that was your number 62. My number 62 is okay.
No, wait.
I
thought you were gonna put that there.
No. My number 62 is a game that I'm so surprised by how much I like this. And I bought this one completely blind. We were at the Gobfest flea market, and it was at the end, everything was kind of bought over, and then it was just a couple vendors left, and they're like, please buy some of this. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll buy this one. Would you take this much? And I ended up picking up Kero. And then I got home, and then I'm opening, because I bought a lot of games that weekend at the flea market and the auction. I was a little bit out of control. And I was going through all the game, and I opened this one, and I squealed, and Lee was like, what? I was like, oh my god, the components! So this is a 2-player game, and it's a real-time game, kinda, but like it has a definitely time element. But both players get their own little tanker truck. The tanker truck is a sand timer. That is your fuel. And what's going to happen is on your turn, there's different cards that are available. And to be able to collect those cards, you need to have the correct symbol. So you're going to roll the dice to try to get those symbols. But while you're doing that, you have your tanker truck sitting up using the fuel that you have. And you just roll your dice as fast as possible, trying to get the symbol that you need. So when you got what like that's going to be good enough, you put your tanker truck down, be like, hey, these are the symbol I got. Then you can spend your symbol to purchase different cards, to buy more fuel, because eventually you're going to have to refuel, to place one of your like players, because you have these tokens that have like different people, but so you could put like your people on one of the location tile so that you can gain access to that location, and that location is kind of an area control. And eventually, as you flip cards over, you'll get like a scoring card that comes up, and then you're going to see who has access to those location, who has the majority there. They get that tile. Those tiles gives you end of game scoring, and then you can keep going, and the next player goes, and then they roll the dice. And then if you're running low on fuel, because if you ever run out of fuel, you kind of don't get to purchase anything, and your turn ends, you got to refill, and it's just like you don't want to do that because it would kind of hurt quite a bit. But at some point, be like, okay, I'm going to spend a gas tank to refill. And what's going to happen, the other player is going to take all the dice, and you're going to put your tanker truck on its nose so that the sand goes back, and they take the dice, and as quickly as they can, they roll them all, trying to get the flame. When they have all the flames rolled up, you're done. You have to stop refueling. So last time I played with Patrick, he was having terrible dice luck, so I got to fill my truck like all the way up before he got to all the fire symbols. But this game, I don't know what I love so much about it, but I love it. Plus, I must be like, it didn't get a huge following, I don't think, because you're now finding this one at the liquidation store for like $9. And I found it there. I was like, oh my god. So I bought a bunch, and because I do like game baskets for Christmas, and I'm putting this one in everybody's basket because it's so good. Everybody should own this game. I adore this, and I've played it with Lee, and I played it with Patrick a couple of times. I just absolutely love this game. And that's my number 62, Kero. You've played this one, right, Carla?
Yeah, I have it too. It's good.
Nice.
I really like it. All right. So the last one of the day for me is number 61, and that's Obsession. Now, this one is a tile-laying worker placement game, I would say, but it feels like you're playing Downton Abbey, basically the board game.
Nice,
Just because you are using all your different servants to do all these different activities. And what you do is you pull a tile that you want to, of the activity you want to do, and you place it on the top of your board, and then you have to place all your different servants that you need to fulfill that. Now, the tiles will either have, say on them, you know, like you need 4 gentry or 2 gentlemen and 2 ladies. And so you have a hand of cards, and you will use those different people to perform those activities. Now, each of those people will give you little bonuses. Some of them will have some negatives. If they're my favorite one, my favorite card, or my favorite negative card in the game is the American Heiress. I think her name is. And she
They're
gives
so
you
crude.
like -5 reputation or something silly like that. But
Nice.
she, I think she gives you money though. She gives you lots of money, so you kind of want her early, but then you want to get rid of her. But
It's funny,
so
yeah.
all these different people will give you things, and so you're gonna perform that activity, whether it's like a croquet tournament or something, and then you will play all your cards, get all your little bonuses off them, whether it's influence, money. What else do they give you? They give you more guests, so you get more cards that you can kind of build your deck with. And then you will flip that tile over and place it back down under your board, and now it will give you end game points. You can still do that action again, but it won't flip. So there's all different things, different types of tiles you can get. And in each round, is usually 3 or 4 turns per round. You are also trying to collect a certain color of tiles to compete for the attention of the Fairchilds. And so if you are have got the most tiles of that color before the end of the round, you get to choose either the Lady Fairchild or Mr. Fairchild, and they will go into your deck that you get to use until the next end of the next round. And they have some really good, cool bonuses to them. It's just so neat. There's some end game goals that you will start with some at the beginning of the game and get more throughout the game, and then you can get rid of some because you only end up with so many. But those will give you things to work towards. Every round you can also buy another tile, but they are typically expensive, so it's money is really tight, reputation is tight, everything seems so tight in this game that you're trying to figure out which do I need more of, money or reputation. And most times it's reputation because that lets you play higher tiles and more influential people that have higher reputation on them and will give you more money and more things. And it's just such a unique game that you can't, there's nothing I can even compare it to because it's so unique. Have you got to play this yet?
I've played it once.
Oh, okay.
I borrowed Darren's copy of it.
But you have one,
and
right?
I want it.
Oh, I thought you did get it. Yeah.
Oh, I want it.
So
it is so cool. Like, to me, like, the whole theme of it, it's like, okay, let's invite this guy to go and do this. Oh, we can't. We need a valet, and our valet is already busy because he can't possibly do this without a valet.
Yeah.
And
once
now
you use your characters, they kind of go to the exhausted side, and they won't come back to you for 2 more rounds, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
like it's like they're busy helping another guest, and then now they're recuperating. Is like, okay, now they're back on duty, and it's like, okay, well then we need to hire more staff, and then you're kind of collecting more staff as well, and to have the appropriate staff for the guest that you have. It's like, oh well, she needs a ladies' maid because it's this person, or like it is. That whole concept of it is so specific to that era. And it is so thematic.
Too, because how you're playing your characters, like, the ladies' maid, you might run out of ladies' maids, but my head housekeeper can actually sub in for her.
Right.
Or like a valet can sub in for a footman. Like there's different like things that are actually real. If you've ever watched Downton Abbey or any of those shows, you're like, oh, that all makes sense now.
Yeah.
And there's like some tiles that there's like a gossip tile, and if you get this tile, you gossip so much that somebody else's staff member comes to you because there's been so much gossip going around that they leave their place of work and come over to you. And there's so much unique stuff going on. Now the designer of this game, now I'm blanking, Dale, is it Dale?
I'm not sure.
But he put his heart and soul into this game. Like he published it and did everything.
It's well made.
He's done like video after video and done some expansions, and like I'm just waiting for the new coin expansion to come where it's these big, huge, chunky coins, and then some
fun
other little mini things that happen for an expansion. But he's gone all in on this, and he's worked on it for years and years. And even after it was one of these games that, like, he didn't do a lot of advertising. It was the game that advertised itself
because it's so good. Yeah.
And then he reprinted it, and then he added expansion, and people were just dying to get it, and then finally could get it again. And now, like, it's not one you see on the used market very often.
That's the problem, because I think it's like, oh, I want this one, and Darren beat me to it, and I was like, Darren, and he's like, well, you could borrow it, and I was like, yes, please. So I borrowed it from him for a week, and then we played it, me and Lee, and I was like, I need it.
Yeah,
I need this one. But yeah, so eventually it's on my wish list.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique gem, this one.
Yeah, we should do like a Victorian era game day, and this one has to be played. But yeah.
This would be the big one, then we can play all the little ones like Mary and the Dower.
Well, because Testament of Duke de Cressy would fit in that, but that would be another bigger one.
Yeah, that one's a big too.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so cool. And then a big, huge table for that one too. All right, so that was your number 61. Amazing choice. My number 61, I'm actually going to join you on this Halloween spooky theme here a little bit. And this one is Betrayal at House on the Hill. So after my brother came over on my birthday in 2017 and he gifted me King of Tokyo and we played Lords of Waterdeep and we played Dominion, and I was like, what are these games? How did I not know about these? And I was like, hooked. That was the weekend that got me, okay, I want to play board games. And it actually made me go through all my games that I had received and hadn't played yet. And part of that was Carcassonne was in my collection, Puerto Rico, and then this one, Betrayal at House on the Hill. And me and the boys sat down and we played this one. And after our first play of it, I was blown away. I was so impressed with this game. And I called my brother right away. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for giving me this game. It's so good. You don't understand. And he's like, I didn't buy that game for you. So I was like, well, who got me this game? Turns out it was my sister-in-law, Kristen. And I was like, Kristen, you don't understand. This game is amazing. So you start with a tile that has like the foyer and the stairs that goes upstairs. And then on your turn, you're going to move your character depending on your speed, how many space you can move. And then as soon as you go through a door where there's a new room that you haven't discovered yet, you're going to take a tile and you're going to add it. And then you add to the main floor or the second floor, or you're going to add to the basement. And then in that room, we'll have an icon. And depending on what it is, you either find an item or something happens, or there's an omen icon. And then if there's an omen, you have to take an omen card. And then if there's an omen card, you're going to have to roll for the haunt. And you take all the dice and you roll. And the dice are from 0 to 2. 0, 1, and 2, I think, is on the dice. And depending on how many pips you rolled, as long as there's more pips than there are omen cards in the gameplay, you keep going. And as you're discovering all these different rooms, you're collecting items and you're developing abilities and different things. And then at one point, somebody's going to roll for the haunt. And they're not going to have enough pips because there's too many haunt cards out there. And they're going to trigger the haunt. And depending on which room and which omen card that this initiated this, it's going to be one of 50 potential scenario. And then it's going to become like one versus all. And depending on the scenario, be like, okay, well, whoever rolled the dice is turned into a werewolf or turned into a vampire or some sort of spooky, horrible situation happens. And then everybody that's still in place will kind of read what our goal is and what we're trying to do to win. And then the person who created the haunt, then they read their scenario and they get their own set of goal of what they need to do to win the game. And then maybe it's a werewolf and we need to find the silver bullet and the revolver and then we need to shoot him. And okay, well, I've got the revolver already because we've been looking across, but I haven't come across a silver bullet. Okay, so let's get spreading and find the silver bullet. So you need to find an item that has the silver bullet, and then you need to go and attack the werewolf or whatever the scenario might be. It is so satisfying. It was so neat. It was so engaging. I was so impressed with this one. And every time I play it, I absolutely love it. It's so cool. Now, I also now since bought Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, which is similar gameplay, but it's more Dungeons and Dragon theme. And I also bought the Scooby-Doo one, which is more kind of, it's a little bit easier and then kind of not as dark theme, I guess. And kind of
House on the Hill, or what's it called?
What's it called? Hold on, let me go see if I can see it real quick. But with that one, it's kind of more younger audience friendly. I wouldn't say that it's a kid's game per se. Like, you could definitely have fun with it. I don't even know how to spell Scooby-Doo. Scoo? Like, yep. Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Okay, so that didn't work. Let me see. What is it called?
I can think of an escape game, but I can't think of what the Betrayal one is.
Oh, Scooby-Doo Betrayal at Mystery Mansion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's the Scooby-Doo version of this game. So I bought this one recently. I haven't played it yet,
That looks cool.
but just for how much I've enjoyed this one, I just wanted to get the other. And then after watching the Dungeons and Dragon movie, and I was like, okay, I want more Dungeons and Dragon games. So that's when I bought Baldur's Gate 1. So yeah, so good, so good. I love this one. Not everybody does. Not everybody enjoys the like one versus all that happens at the end. But I am a big fan, and that is my number 61, Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Awesome. We are almost done our top bottom 50. Do we call it bottom because it's lower is worse and higher is better? Or
Yeah, the worst of the best. Yeah. No, we're almost halfway there, but
Yeah.
next episode we're actually taking a break from our top 100 just because it's going to be the 28th of October and we want to do our top 9 games we would play at Halloween.
Yes.
We just can't skip it. So we're going to do kind of our spooky theme or Halloween friendly games and then we'll get back to the top 100.
Yep.
But before we call it a day, Carla, where can we find you?
I'm at on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word, and on Facebook I have a page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
So we do have a Discord channel. Be sure to join us on there. Actually, it's been very active, which is great. And then also on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. I have a Facebook page called Mel's Board Game Room, and my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. So I'm going to go hunt down that fly now. I don't know if you heard, it landed on the microphone and buzzed. I'm like, oh! And I was like, I got my, like, I was like, I can't hit my microphone. So it flew away, but it is an aggressive fly. It's the most aggressive fly I've come across.
He's trying to hunker down for the winter.
Oh my God, but then it keeps hitting me in the head. Like, if it just left me alone.
He's hungry. Give him some food, Val. Put out some food.
No, I'm going to put it out of its misery. One of us is going down tonight, and I hope it's the fly. So. But I'm going to go do that. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody.
Bye for now.